Hey, Mud, what's going on, brother?
Hey JB, man, just another day in paradise over here.
How you doing? Everything good?
Everything's fantastic, man. If I was doing any better, I'd be you.
Are you a snow you turning into a real snow person now or
Well, it depends on how you rate that kind of person, because yeah, I mean, yeah, I got snow bunnies over here.
yeah, yeah. I hear you're getting a lot to play with. Snow. I don't know about the bunny. Well, listen, before we get going with this thing, I'd just like to remind all the good people out there that might watch this podcast to look for us on YouTube and Rumble. You can find, we always post these videos on my YouTube page, The World According to Jim Bob. Go to YouTube, just put in World According to Jim Bob, you'll find us.
Hmm.
Uh, when you're at these places, it's important that you like and you subscribe. You go up there, if it's got a bell, ring that bell. If they have a rating system, you want to really help us, give us a 5-star rating wherever you can. And also, the big news this week is we're officially up and going on Spotify. And I know a lot of uh, podcast watchers out there use Spotify, so you can find us there. Quarter Deck with Jim Bob and Mud. Also, the biggest thing, Mud, that I think anybody, your friends, my friends, anybody that likes this whole uh, concept is to share it with your friends, share it with the people that you know that have like patriotic beliefs and feelings like we do, and help us grow and spread a little sanity in this crazy world that we're living in.
Yep.
And one other thing we probably ought to tell folks, we have our own email address now. Um, we'll put it on the screen for you so you can write it down, and you can contact us with questions or ideas or people that you think might be interested in coming on and talking with us. Whatever. It's an open line to Jim Bob and Mud through this new email service we have going.
And we'll make sure that everybody gets that address so that
Yeah,
they can.
I hate to say it right off the top of my head. I do believe it's quarterdeck375 at Gmail, but I'll make sure of that and we'll put the absolute correct one up on the screen.
Perfect.
So what do you want to go with? Start off with
Well,
today.
I heard this week that the jobs report was it's up 250,000 jobs. I'll make sure I get the actual.
275,000 is what I found.
Okay. Well, here's my dilemma on that report. Obviously, it's coming from the Biden administration, so it's not really accurate because nothing's been accurate with these people. But what I think listeners need to know is that the 250,000 jobs that are being posted from the Labor Department, are they full-time jobs, or are they just part-time jobs? Because we got all this AI stuff coming out, and just because you hire somebody for part-time labor doesn't mean that that's a full-time job. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Are
Yeah,
they really 200? Are there really 250,000 jobs created, or are they just 250,000 part-time jobs created, or are they 200? And at this point, they don't even know how many illegal aliens have entered this country. You listen to one senator to another senator, they have different numbers. One says 8 million, one says 7 million. That's a big difference.
right, right.
So you got to question, okay, what are we talking about when you're talking about job growth? Is it part-time jobs, full-time jobs, career jobs? What kind of job? What are you talking about? What do you
Right,
think?
right. Well, the confusing thing for me, and I find this very interesting, goes right along with what you're saying, Mud, is uh the number I saw was 275,000 new jobs growth in February. But at the same time, in the same report, they say that unemployment rate rose by 3.9%. So
That's
we have
exactly exactly right.
we have 275,000 more jobs, but unemployment's going up. Now, listen, I know we don't unless they're counting the illegal immigrants that are coming across the border as being adding to our population. How can that be? How can the job rate go up, but the unemployment? The job uh, total jobs grow at the same time that unemployment's growing. It doesn't make any sense. The other thing that they reported was that wages. Now we had wages grow by 0.1%. That's a tenth of 1%. I mean, people, and at the same time, they're reporting everything from 6, 8% inflation to 12. But every time you see those inflation numbers, Mud, they do not include gasoline, they do not include groceries, and they do not include rent. So what does that include? When you stop and you think about it, that's what people are mostly spending their food on. I mean, their money on food, rent, and gasoline. So the another interesting story that went down this last week was, did you hear about Tyson Foods? Tyson, I've always been a fan of Tyson Foods, mostly because of their advertising. They always talk about, they don't use any antibiotics and blah blah blah, whatever their little advertisement is there. But um, they just announced that they are laying off 1,276 jobs, 76 people. They're canceling out 1,276 jobs because they're shutting down the pork packing plant, which is their biggest one in Perry, Iowa. And the crazy thing about it is that they announced that at the same time that they're doing this, they're seeking to hire thousands of quote unquote asylum seekers, better known in my
Illegal.
world as illegal aliens, who have been arriving in New York City over the past few months. So, and then according to Scripps, the news service Scripps, Tyson Foods is facing, I hope, possible boycotts for planning to hire, check this out, 52,000 quote unquote asylum seekers to work at their factories after they close these plants. And you'll notice this is a pretty red state that they're closing that plant in, Iowa.
Yeah.
So um, we're in for some tough times economically, especially if you're not living in the right part of the country. Actually, the economics problems are they're everywhere, throughout the country. But
And we talked about that last week a little bit. Human behavior has a lot to drive that whole situation. I don't understand where these numbers are coming from because let's get one thing straight. Everything is explained in the universe. Everything is explained by numbers. You can calculate anything and everything that we know as human beings through numbers, through mathematics. So with that being said, yeah, it's easy to manipulate those numbers. It's easy to manipulate the in terms of the result that you want. Even though numbers don't lie, they still produce outcomes that the originator wants. I don't know how to really break it down shotgun style, but I can tell you that there is no way that the numbers that are being projected from the government, there's no way that that the numbers add up. His name is Dr. Tedros. Anyways, he's the Ethiopian guy, and he wants to move towards plant-based diets. In general, what he wants to do is not have cattle available, meat available, and move towards a plant-based diet, because the world cannot sustain the amount of people we have, or for the amount of consumption of meat products that we consume. I found it kind of humorous, because here we are talking about a guy from Ethiopia, and anybody that's ever been to Africa or has a friend or knows people from Africa, and especially Ethiopia, they're starving over there, and he wants to get rid of the cattle and all that. I don't understand how that guy can even be on a stage talking about. And I'm telling you, what I think is what's going on is bigger than what we can actually see. I think there's a lot of things going on as far as let's get rid of some of the population, humans, so that those of us that make money and have cattle, we can enjoy it. I don't what's his name? John Kerry. John Kerry backed the guy up. He actually went on the stage after, well, in a different forum, and he said the same thing. He's like, "Yeah, man, we got way too many people. We got to get rid of some people so that we can enjoy our steaks, our tomahawks, and all that."
John Kerry, he's one of the biggest hypocrites in the public arena, and has been for a long time. Out and came back from Vietnam and decided, I think at that time, he was going to run for politics. He wanted to make a big splash, and he was at a protest. And I believe it was along Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House. I could be mistaken on that, but I think that's where they were. A huge group of people came marching, and he made a big display, was on TV, and it got all kinds of news coverage of taking his medals, including what he said was his Silver Star, and he threw it over the fence at the White House in protest. And then it came out later. It wasn't too much later, because somebody went and found what he threw over. It was all BS. He did. They were all fake little trinket things, and he said, "Yeah, this is my Silver Star," and I forget. I think he had a purple star, Purple Heart too. I forget, but it made a big deal, and it was all for politics. He's John Kerry is, if you look at his lifestyle, he is one of the biggest polluters in the world, and yet he goes around talking this crap.
You're also talking about a guy who's got a degree in liberal arts. Why is he in charge of something scientific is beyond me. It floors me. He has no background in science and chemistry and the things that go along with a degree in like a Bachelor of Science rather than a Bachelor of Arts and liberal arts.
Speaking of politics, you see what your boy Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont, he introduced a bill. They've got it on the floor of Congress now. Have you seen that one?
No.
About the 4-day work week.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to mandate. Now, this would be the way that I understand it, I don't even know if they could legally do it, but he wants to mandate that all companies, they probably have some levels so they could let their friends out of it. If you have 2042 employees exactly, you don't have to follow. You know how they make these laws and then they put little exceptions in them for all their buddies. But Bernie is saying that everybody or every company should be required to pay their employees the same amount of money, but for 32 weeks, 32 days a week. So they work 8 less hours a week, but they get the same amount of money. And I saw one of the few real reporters left. I think her name is Heidi. She's with Fox News, and she cornered him, and he blew up. Boy, we've talked about Biden and his anger issues and how that might be related to some medical issues that he has. I think Bernie's in the same boat, boy. He just went off like a volcano on this little gal.
Mhm. Yeah, there's something. There's definitely a. I don't. It's more than an issue.
Well,
In my
and
opinion.
you know what the question was that she asked him, Mud? She goes, "How do you expect small businesses to be able to stay in business if they have to pay people the same amount of money for working they're going to have to replace those hours? Have you thought about what that's going to do economically to these businesses?" He didn't even let her get it all out. He cut her off, blew up. It was
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
yeah, and it
A
goes back.
guy that's never had a real job and
First of
lived
all,
in
yeah,
his parents' house until he was 40, I think, if I remember right, over 40.
yeah,
But
yeah. There's something more going on than farting cows around the country.
I know one thing that you and I have talked about is this Massachusetts Air National Guard airman. His name's Jack. I'm going to butcher his name, but I'm going to try
Or something like that.
Taxi area. I don't know, something
Yeah,
like that. Apologize, but yeah, and they're saying that he faces from 11 to 16 years. But Mud, I was reading. I think there's several charges that could carry a lot more time than that. Could Seems to me like each charge they could charge him up to 30 years or something. Now maybe something's happened in there that I don't know about, but he faces a lot of time in prison. And what he was doing evidently is leaking these secrets to his buddies in a gaming
right.
little club that they had online. Um, it was called the Thug Shaker Central Gaming Conglomerate. But I don't know if you figured it out. Now, this all happened like 2 years ago, and he's 22 now. So he was like 19, 20 at the most back then. And he's
Right.
looking at doing 16 years. And at the same time, look at what's going on in the world out there with with Biden, with Hillary, and then you compare it to what they're doing to Trump, and there's something fishy going on.
Has to be. And it's not going to change until there is an actual change in politics. And man, I'll tell you, just just getting the earful from the past week, I cannot, I can't do this anymore. I can't sign on with the United States as the leader of the pack. I think I just don't I don't buy it. Being a patriot Marine and serving my country, and my father served his country and our country. I just don't understand how the hell uh, you can actually live or go to sleep at night knowing that there's two tiers of justice, And we've heard that, Clay and Buck, they've all said it, and Hannity, that's one of his platforms is there's two tiers of justice. And I'm not going to regurgitate anything they say, but all I'm telling you is think about it, people. It's real. It's in your back porch. It is here. There is some real bad people in high positions that don't need to be there. Whether or not you want to vote for them in the future, that's your prerogative. But think about what you're setting yourself up for. And all I can see is failure, in my opinion. So, you got people like this Ethiopian general guy or president or whatever he is, and he's wanting to slice and dice the way you consume food when they have very little food to begin with. He wants to take more take more food away from his citizens. And then Kerry's saying, well, yeah, it's 30% emission. It's just the numbers I don't even understand how they even come to those numbers to begin with, because no one's ever challenged them.
No, they make them up. They make them up, Mud. Look, if you look at, we've got something going on right now that I believe the American people have woken up to for a couple of years now, anyway. And as every day goes by and every new little fiasco comes out, the American people become more aware of what's really going on. And if you look at just the secret document thing between Trump and Biden, you can see that they aren't treating the same political groups the same. One of the big things that I have seen lately is the prosecutor for against Trump in, I believe it's in the New York case, came out and did a news conference and said Trump's secret file case is starkly, quote unquote, starkly different from Biden's. And then you start looking at it, and it is starkly different because Biden was never president when he was doing this stuff. He never had the right that Trump did to declassify documents. In fact, the very first ones, the ones that they found out in his garage next to the Corvette, they came from when he was a senator. That means he had to, what do they call those? I think they call them a skiff they go into.
Right.
And they have to, I mean, under security, they can read their stuff. And there's been cases through the years. Clinton was one, and one of his boys was caught sneaking some out under his pants or something. But that's illegal. I mean, that if this kid is going to go to prison for 16 years, then how can you make a case that somebody that steals secret documents out of a secure skiff, that they know that that's the law and they do it, and oh well, that's just fine because that's Joe Biden. And the reason that it's different with these guys, between them and Hillary, I'll put Hillary right in there. If you remember Hillary, she smashed her cell phone. She acid washed all this. She deleted. It was over 3,000 emails, and that all happened after a judge had ordered her to produce that stuff to court. I mean, she was under a court order at the time, and she did it, and nothing happened.
I thought about this as well. Remember James Comey, Jim Comey. This guy gave Hillary the golden ticket, the pass, and what he said, and this is what he said. He said that no prosecutor in his right mind would prosecute this case. So he was already telling the rest of the world, not just bar certified attorneys, he was telling the world that if you're a prosecutor, you're not going to prosecute this case. You can't. So he was making other people's minds up for him. In the same instance, you have this prosecutor, or not, I'm sorry, special counsel or special investigate, whatever his damn title is. He said no jury would find Biden competent to stand trial. What that means is that, okay, you have the FBI director from years ago saying that there's not a smart enough attorney to prosecute, and now you got another guy that's a lawyer who's saying that you Americans are stupid. No, you're not. You couldn't. You wouldn't be able to find Joe Biden competent enough to stand trial. It's the same. It's basically the same shit or the same thing, but one saying that lawyers are dumb and the other one saying the American people are dumb. They never even gave us a chance.
There's a lot of similarities between her and Comey. I mean, if you really stop and you look at it, I don't know. Did you know Comey was a Republican? And so is her. They both declined to prosecute. That's the key. Comey declined on Hillary, and Biden declined. I mean, her declined on Biden, and that's not their job. That's
No,
the thing. That's the biggest thing to me is they got no business doing that. They can say that if they want,
right.
but then they turn it over and they see if somebody wants to prosecute it, and it's just I don't know. Of course, I agree a lot more with the side of her and what he's saying, but both of them are wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, 100%.
and,
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like my profession. I'm an inspector. It's not my job to tell the contractor how to build the house. It's my job to go in there and observe and report. Did they use the right tools? Did they use the right methods, specifications, standards, and which is set down, by people like OSHA, API 1104, things like that. It's not my job to tell them how to do it. It's my job to say you got to weld it at 120 amps at 22 or 25 volts and a travel speed of 7.8 inches per minute. That's all I'm supposed to do. And that's all they're supposed to do is they're just there to observe and report, but they're not. They're extending and there, don't get me wrong. There are inspectors out there that think that they know exactly how to do things better and they'll insert their foot in their mouth and it gets them in trouble. In this case right here, it's not just they're getting in trouble, they're screwing the whole country up because the American people, they believe in the people that are elected or appointed to those positions, and they're getting bad fodder. They're getting the wrong word. They're not getting the truth. And
well, along the same lines, we've got the how she wants her name to be said Fani now. But I heard somebody say, she's been Fanny all her life. Now she wants to be called Fani. I don't know. But this Fani Willis in Georgia, the judge who we've said we thought was kind of a wimpish up for election guy.
oh, it's apparent
He
now.
uh
It's very apparent
well, yeah.
he's a punk, man.
And so the ruling that he put out here a few days ago was that one of them had to step down. Either she had to step down or the attorney that she hired for
Right.
$600,000 a year. Now, I'm glad because that was going to be my prediction for this week was going to be that Fani stepped down because they didn't want to give up the $600,000 a year deal that the attorney had going. But he probably, and then after they did it, I thought, well, maybe he's got some clause in there where he gets that yearly salary no matter, even if they fire him. I don't know. But
Besides
anyway,
that,
huh?
if he's making 600,000, what's she making?
Well, she's not making near that.
Exactly.
But so that's why I thought she'd step down. So you were telling me something about the Teamsters, the head of the Teamsters organization.
Yeah, the union, right? Yeah, he had a meeting with Biden. Obviously, it was a political stunt, and it sounded like at the end of what he was saying that he made a deal with the Biden administration that if Biden's reelected, that things in the union would be a lot better, and transportation and what do they call that? Expediting, where truckers take a good and take it to the other side of the country or wherever they go. That everything was going to be fine. But I'm looking at this guy, and I watched him on TV, and he looked like a scared little child. He had no idea what he was talking about. He had no idea what promises were made, because he didn't say it. He didn't say, well, Biden said, if we do this deal, if we back Biden during his election, that everything's going to be fine, that everything, jobs will be there. I'm looking
Well,
at this guy going,
the
what are
Teamsters
you talking about, man?
the Teamsters have traditionally been a democratic supportive organization, and a huge. There over the years, there's been many studies done on the amount of money that the Teamsters put into politics, and it's like 90 to 10%. 90% goes to Democrats, 10% to conservatives, or whatever you want to call them. But this guy, I read a couple articles on it after you told me about it, and this guy, um, he seemed to. I think the reason why he was so scared, what you picked up on, he was kind of because normally he'd go totally Biden, but this time he kind of opened it up and was saying, from what I was reading anyway, that there's some people in the Teamsters Union with some conservative views that, in fact, he actually brought Trump in to speak, just like the whole Biden deal that happened like several months ago. But it was the first time ever that a Teamster guy had opened the door even a crack to conservatives. That's probably why he's a little scared. He's probably worried they're going to come after him. Hey, I got to tell you, I'm going to put this on the screen too. This website, it's called muckrakers.com. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but these guys, there's I forget the kid's name that is the founder of the company, Anthony something. But him and his buddy, who's they always list as the reporter, they've at least two times, I think it might even be three times, they have gone down to Central America or one time South America and joined these groups of migrants that are coming up, and actually travel the whole way with them until they come across the Mexican border. They videotape, and they've got, you go to this muckraker.com, and they've got videos that you can watch. Well, and I've seen a few of them over the last year or so they've been doing it.
Yeah.
I watched one the other day that you guys got to check out. It is of they're sitting there right when the kids, all these kids, young, like some of them look to be like 7 or 8, maybe, teenagers. They're come across the border, and these men swoop in and get them and load them into these black vans, these big airport vans, like 18 seaters. They pack these vans full of these kids, and they're gone. And these guys are going, hey, 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 where are you taking the what? And I mean, it's obvious they don't want to talk to anybody. Um, they came out with a report here about a month ago that there's over 80,000 kids missing out of our system, out of our foster care system, um, and other the DOJ that have taken these kids.
Where do they go?
Where do they go? That's the question. And I think this is one of the biggest stories of the century, really, because they're trafficking these kids, man. I mean, it's you got to watch that video. Muckraker.com. Go check it out because it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And it's
Yeah.
so evident, these guys, the way they react to it. So, but it's all political.
Well, you say the way they react. How about the lack of reaction? That's what I think.
Yeah. And you know, it's we've said it before. How in the world can you justify any of this stuff? How can you justify the open border, allowing people unvaccinated in if you're worried about vaccinations, letting these people in and supporting them, just turning them on the American people and say, yeah, you got to support them, man. They're here now. You got to support them. They can't make any money.
Yeah,
It's
well,
crazy.
especially real money. And that goes back to what we opened with was the jobs report. I don't know that people that go out in the fields and maybe they're undocumented or in this case I will use the word undocumented because anybody that owns a business out there that has a legitimate business, I guarantee there's been a time where there's a deal called E-Verify. And without E-Verify, you can't tell if the person is legal because you can go to Beaumont, Houston, San Antonio. Those are the places that I know to go get illegal documents in order to gain employment.
Now, let me ask you a serious question. Is the way that you found out about these places, does it come from your past somehow, like maybe fake IDs or something like that?
Yeah. I had a welder, a guy that welded for me years, I think back in 2012. And on his application and his documentation that, he supplied to the, to HR, his name was Jason Smith. Obviously his name's not Jay. The guy he was from, I'll tell you exactly, because we actually called him that from his country. Honduras. He was from Honduras, and that's what we called him was, "Hey, Honduras." But on paper, his name was Jason Smith. And then, I had to we get layoffs and terminations and stuff like that. He came back with a whole different social security number and a different name. And he was a great welder. Don't get me wrong. He was a great welder, one of the best. And I was like, damn, what's your name today? But without E-Verify and, how these, I don't understand how the government is speculating that there's all this job growth, but there's no way of knowing, because there's industries like, the people that pick our tomatoes and our lettuce and stuff like that. It's hard enough for a farmer to make a dime. And some of the ways that they do it is they hire these illegals to, go and pick their corn and cotton and all that other stuff. And I don't think those jobs are they're not expressed the way that the government is portraying it to be.
Yeah. Hey, do you know, you ever watched George Stephanopoulos on TV?
Oh, that guy. Yeah. I try not to, only whenever he makes headlines, because he's very liberal, very I wouldn't say uneducated. He is where he is because
Oh,
he's
he's educated. He's educated. You know,
but the
he used to be Clinton's chief of staff when
right,
Clinton was president. So you know he's well educated. You also know that he's well liberal, but um, he does that Sunday morning on ABC show now. And last Sunday, the U.S. representative from South Carolina, Nancy Mase. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but
oh, she was a rape victim.
she was a rape victim when she was 16 and came out a few, I don't know how many years ago, but that was one of the things. She went on this program last week, and the very first, they started the program off, and I saw an interview with her after it was over, and she said they gave her no forward knowledge that they were going to do this, but they started it off with a tape of her talking about when her being a rape victim
Right.
and how emotional it was and so on and so forth. And then they come back from that video, and the first thing Stephanopoulos says to her is, in view of that video, how can you be supporting uh, Donald Trump, who has been actually the words that he used in the interview aren't correct. He said that Donald Trump had been determined liable, I think was the, which isn't even a legal term, of rape, which is totally not true. Trump in this New York court had been found liable for sexual abuse, which could be grabbing a woman, as little something as little as that. I don't know if you follow that case, but the gal that's accusing him is pretty questionable as far as her whole mental situation too. But Nancy Mase, did exactly what I think every conservative out there that goes on TV and gets ambushed like this does. She just threw it right back in his face and told him, you know, George, you're trying to embarrass me.
And actually he didn't even this goes towards the character of George Stephanopoulos, Papalopoulos, whatever his name, George Stephanopoulos. It goes to his character. She had her teenage daughter in the green room listening to this. She had no idea that was going to, and she even said, you know, hey, if I'd have known that they were going to bring that up, I wouldn't have had my daughter there.
Right.
Because no
Exactly.
child should be subjected to some, you know, to that information. I mean, that's kind of like doctor patient privilege stuff, and you know, he's bringing it up and just airing it out to the world.
And using it for a political reason against
He
Trump.
has no character, in my opinion. He is the worst of the worst, and I mean,
You
there's
know,
some
Stephanopoulos is his, again, this goes back to, I don't know if you remember this or not, but he was famous back in the day when he worked for Clinton, when the when all of Clinton's sexual behavior stuff started popping up,
right,
and different women started accusing him of rape and this and that.
right, yep,
Stephanopoulos was the one that coined the phrase bimbo eruption. And he would go in and he'd go, yeah, we had another bimbo eruption today. I got to, you
hmm.
talk about, being demeaning to women, calling them these people that are, especially in today when you hear this Me Too, the Me Too movement
Yeah.
that
Where are they whenever that happens?
exactly. I mean, calling them bimbos, but anyway.
Besides
Well,
that, I mean, why didn't they stand up for this lady? You know, she it doesn't matter what position she holds in life, how many kids she has, how successful her life is. It doesn't matter. Where are these people? You know, you want to burn down. Portland, Oregon. You want to tear up, cities all across the country over nonsense. But you have right there, you have a clear cut human being saying things that he should not have been saying about this woman because it's none of his business. It's her business. If she wants to air it out, then she'll air it out.
Right.
And I don't, I'm not a feminist. I don't advocate for any group, but I can tell you right now, if you're in a group that supports that or is supposed to be defending women's rights, liberalism and stuff, where are you? What the hell are you
Right.
doing?
Right. Same thing with this transgender athlete thing. Where are the feminists? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, well,
Um,
as far as I'm concerned, female sports, they've never been exciting to me, but that's just my
well,
opinion. But
no, but
at this point, they have absolutely diminished. I don't even see how you can bounce back from that. I think Clay and Buck were talking last week about some woman that was bench pressing over 500 pounds or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Transgenders hold all the weightlifting women records now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on.
And what are you
Um,
gonna what's Dana White gonna do whenever they start invading the UFC? I don't think he'll ever allow it, but you got a man beating up a woman. Isn't that like a legal charge or something? You can't hit a woman.
right, right. Um, what about Haiti? Have you been following Haiti at all? What's happening in Haiti?
Actually served in the Marine Corps in a reconnaissance unit with a guy. He was I think he was Team Five. He was the team leader for Team Five. He was a refugee from Haiti. Without giving his name out, he was a great human. I mean, awesome human to be around. And he would tell me stories. And I remember specifically what he told me in 1997, 98, something like that, when I first started working with him. He's like, man, you're either dirt poor or you're filthy rich. There is no in between in Haiti. And when I saw the deal where they were sending the Marines in, I thought about my old friend, my old colleague, and I couldn't help but just uh, think, wow, you got a guy over there. His name is what is his name? Hamburger or barbecue?
Barbecue, yeah.
Barbecue, yeah. And he's just going. He's so bad that the prime minister or the president of Haiti quit. Just said, hey, I'm resign. You call it resigning. You know what? At the end of the day, you quit. You're either doing it or you're quitting. And he quit.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I couldn't help but think about the time that I spent with that Marine, and
yeah. Well, to me, the big story, Mud, is not only how sad stuff like that about just the rich taking advantage of the poor there and how long it's been going on, is that our rich here have been taking advantage of their poor too. Uh, between they had that earthquake down there, and between like it was a 2 year, they put that Clinton Bush foundation together, and they raised over $5 million, and they went down there and they were going to do great things, and now, like how many years later, we're looking at it, and I was reading a deal. They said that there's been over a billion, over $2 billion. They were saying that of money poured into Hades. And have you seen any of the video of that place? It looks like a lot of the places you've kicked around in Central America. I mean, it's devastated, and that money's going in those people's pockets.
right,
And it's the same thing with the Ukraine. I mean, let's get real about it.
yep,
uh, that's the biggest money laundering operation that we have going right now is Ukraine, and Hades and the Clintons have been doing it for decades now. But it's just sad to see and then I don't know if you heard this, but they're expecting such an influx of refugees out of Hades that they're talking about putting them down in Guantanamo Bay.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Might
the
be
same
might
places
be
they
the
house.
best solution. I mean, we've already got we look at what's going on in our borders, and now we have this going on in Hades. It's like it's unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. I
Yeah.
want to
The amount of
go ahead.
money that the Biden administration is requesting for aid for Ukraine, now Haiti, and other regions of the world that are suffering. I don't understand who the hell's supposed to pay this. You want me to pay for it? I
You and
mean,
me, yeah, it's you and me, brother. It's you and me. I saw a article that was quoting People's Magazine. Now, I don't know if you I mean, People Magazine, I guess, is a pretty cool thing to. It used to be. I haven't seen one in a long time. But anyway,
it
they had
makes a
an
great
article in it. Huh?
it makes a great coaster.
Yeah, they had an article in there. The headline was U.S. Marine Corps alters dress code for women, no longer requiring them to wear pantyhose. Now, have you heard anything about this?
No, and thank God, because the
Well,
last thing
actually, I think it's pretty cool because I saw it and I thought of you, and I had to dig into the article a little bit. And you know what this is all about? Now I'm going to quote. This is direct from the Marine Corps, a direct quote that they put out 2 days ago. It says, "Effective immediately, the wear of hosiery with skirts is optional."
Hmm.
And as somebody that's never had to wear pantyhose, but have known a few women that do, I think that's a great moving forward in this day of apparel in the armed services. I mean, requiring a woman to wear pantyhose, come on.
Fired two top officials on the same day.
The Marine Corps did?
The Marine Corps did, yeah.
I hadn't heard. Who
They
are
got
who?
rid of a lieutenant colonel, I think, and I don't know, maybe a general, but they were the commanders of what we call in the Marine Corps. There's two paths you can go. If you're going infantry, you got to go to SOI, School of Infantry. Well, that's where this general, or whatever his title was or his rank was. And so School of Infantry, and then you have MCT. Well, when I was in, it's called MCT, Marine Combat Training. Combat Training, MCT, was 2 weeks long, where SOI, School of Infantry, was 2 months long. And that's where you kind of hone your skills from being a civilian and how to shoot, into how to actually, patrol, do land navigation, basic things that you need as a Marine to go out in the world and defend this country. So anyways, the guy that was in charge of the School of Infantry was relieved of his duty. And then there's something new that I'd never heard of, is reconnaissance training company or something like that. I don't even know what that is. I guess it's a pipeline. I guess it's, yeah, like a pipeline way. So once you graduate boot camp, you go to this reconnaissance thing, and then they teach you how to swim and combat dive and jump out of helicopters and airplanes and stuff like that. And he was relieved, and I'll be the first to tell you from firsthand experience, when you wear that title, reconnaissance Marine, it is something that you will never, ever, ever forget. To become a reconnaissance Marine takes more than just an aptitude test. Of course, you have to have a GT score of 115 or better. And you also do psycho evals and stuff like that, similar to like if a cop, somebody wants to become a police officer, or the CIA or the FBI, you go through, psycho evals, and you do kinds of things like that. And it's hard for me to believe that this reconnaissance training commander was relieved of his duty, and they didn't say why he was relieved. Like, they didn't say, the report that I read, it did not say that he inappropriately touched a Marine, because at that point you're a Marine. Once you cross that threshold at MCRD or Paris Island, you're a Marine, and so it didn't say that he inappropriately touched a Marine or he did. He I don't even know how you could even overtrain a Marine that wants to become a reconnaissance Marine. I find it very, very democratic what's going on
Democratic.
in the military, from changing the motto or the slogan or whatever of West Point to dismissing two highly decorated or highly ranked Marines from their post, from training. I'm thinking that there's something really bigger going on that needs to be addressed. And I'm telling you, Biden's not going to address it. I mean,
Nah.
he's got two Marines at all times around him, but yet he won't say "God bless America"
Right. Right.
in any one of his speeches, and
Right.
he can barely raise his hand to salute when he comes off of Air Force One or whatever where the Marines are that greet him or see him on his way.
Right. It's sad. Tell me a little bit about Pineapple Dave. Now, I understand we're going to talk to him here in a few minutes, and I'd like you to. I've never met him. I've communicated with him a couple of times, but
He's read your books.
I know he has read my book. In fact, he may have read both of my books, and he would be the only person that I'd absolutely know that has read both of my books. Um, but yeah, tell us a little bit about Pine.
Yeah, so Pineapple Dave, him and his wife Mary, he and I met several years, I think 2015, maybe 2017, in Keycocker, Belize, Central America. He was in the midst of building what's called the Pineapple House, and you can go online and just type in Pineapple House Keycocker or Pineapple House Belize, and it'll show pictures. It's been on the Discovery Channel. Beautiful home. Anyhow, he's got I don't know, he's got up to at least about 500 acres in East Texas, and part of that he has a vineyard, and he started growing the grapes and everything, and then he started he got in I guess he got in cahoots with another guy that's down the road that has an actual still, and it's all legit. It's not, but he makes this stuff called mead. Now I don't know if I'm not a big wine drinker, and it took me a while to figure it out. The difference between mead and other types of wines. But he's a surveyor by profession, and he's doing this wine thing, and the way he's got it set up is amazing because he's got people that help him with certain aspects of the grapes and getting it to the still and all that stuff. But his story is like no other. He's a steel worker from Philadelphia type. He's a hardworking guy. If if the sun's up, he's up and he's working. And I thought he would be a positive influence, a person that if anybody's ever looking to do something with their life, he would be able to elaborate extensively, exponentially on how to go about achieving your goal, achieving your dream, and making a product that everyone can enjoy.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking to him, and especially from the point of view of being a patriot living, at least in his case, partially down in a foreign country, because a lot of patriot Americans these days have decided that it's a lot easier, cheaper, and so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that. What
Yep.
is you want to talk about your what are they doing these days?
Oh, I'm glad you said that because I got something that we can both talk about. I like Cheech and Chong.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheech Marin He's a LA boy, born and raised, not in East LA like his song would indicate, but in the LA metro area. Uh, Now I'll tell you this though, he's a draft dodger. He left the United States to go to Canada to avoid the draft, and currently he's residing in Malibu, and I love Malibu. Toured the campus of Pepperdine there, and lived over there for one of the Christmases of my life, and had a really good time. But yeah, he's. I think we all know all of the movies. Up in Smoke. My very first introduction to Cheech and Chong was the movie Things Are Tough All Over, and that was by accident because my dad left it sitting on the VCR on accident, and I just put it in, didn't know what it was, and I ended up watching it. And I was like, oh yeah, these are my guys. It's funny, but yeah, he's doing well. I guess he's playing golf. And
Playing a lot of golf.
the thing about the golf thing is he never even liked golf until he was a co-star in that movie Tin Cup.
Yeah. Well, when you told me you wanted to see what old Cheech was doing, I decided to check into Tommy Chong. The flip side of Cheech and Chong. And actually, I'll be honest with you, Mud. I was very surprised, I guess is the best word that I could say, because I hadn't heard a lot of stuff. He actually went to prison, and he did some time. It wasn't that long. He did, I think it was 6 months. Um, but Tommy Chong, he's a pretty good guitar player. I don't know if you've ever heard him. Um, and he is a Canadian, come up there from where you like to hang out every now and then. And but he's always had a band. And actually, in the early days in Canada, his band was pretty well known. They had a couple of hits, and then uh, he and Cheech got hooked up, and everybody kind of knows what happened there because it all happened right in front of all of our eyes. And then when they split up, um, Tommy went into the drug paraphernalia business, and he started making bongs. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't either. And he had him and his kid and his wife had this. I forget the name of I think it was Operation Pipe Dreams or something like that was the name of the company.
Yeah.
And they sold in this very short period. Now you got to remember this was back in before the turn of the century when even paraphernalia was illegal in a lot of places, and they were distributing over 7,500 bongs in different places throughout uh, the country. They swooped in and busted them,
Mm.
and Tommy took the rap. I think he was sentenced to 9 months in federal prison. I don't think he did quite all that time, but and then they also fined him 20 grand, and they took all of the merchandise they had that was estimated at being worth over 100,000 bucks in bongs and pipes and whatever they were whatever they were selling. But
Yeah.
Tommy took the rap for everybody. He made a deal with them, and he got his kid and his wife. They didn't. He went and he served his time in federal prison, and then came back. And in 2012, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer,
Oh.
which he now says that he's totally free of, which is great news.
Hmm.
But the biggest surprise to me, Mud, and I'm very curious. Have you ever heard of a television show? Um, that's fairly new, like the last few years. It's called the '90s Show.
Oh, no. I think what you're talking about is that 70s show.
No, what
Oh,
I'm talking about is the '90s Show. Now,
oh, this is a new one.
Tommy appeared on the '70s Show.
Yep.
But there's this new there's and I had never heard of it until I started digging into old Tommy, and he's been on it. I think he's been on it twice. It's a reoccurring role.
Yep.
The guy's name is Leo Chingwick. Is Tommy's character's name, and it's got a lot of the old people from the '70s show. It's got the mom and the dad, and I don't know who all is on it. I just found this all out, so I haven't had a chance to check it out. I'm going to, but because the '70s show, I love the '70s show.
Yeah,
But yeah, Tommy is involved today
that's great.
with a current TV show. It's playing on, I think it's a Netflix production or one of those. But anyway,
Okay.
that's Tommy. He's doing well himself these days.
I know.
So, what do you got? You have a prediction this week?
Well, I just to recap from last week, I had predicted that this Bonnie or Fanny, however she wants to say her name these days, I thought that judge was gonna. It was a no-brainer, but yeah, that prediction fell flat on its face because yeah, he took all of 2 weeks to come up with that
Mm.
that ridiculous statement or decision that he wrote. So this week, I don't really have a prediction because I can't. I follow the stock markets daily, and I can't understand how a barrel of oil went up to over $80, but gas prices are starting to fall here in Grand Junction. I think the last time I quoted the gas prices, it was $3.06. That was last week, and today it's $2.94. But the barrel of oil went up from $78 to $81 a barrel, plus or minus, a couple
The
cents.
fix is in, brother. I've been telling you for a long time. Fix is in. Nothing's legitimate. It's what they want it to be. I got to do my prediction real quick here because we're running out of time. We want to talk to Dave, but mine has to do with Fanny, Fonny, whatever she wants to be called too. My prediction is they're gonna that case is done, and she's gonna be out of there. I don't know, before the end of the month, let's say.
Okay,
Uh,
well, that's a good
they may
prediction. I
not
hope
they may
you're
not
right.
cancel the case all within the end of the month, but I think she's gone. There's too much heat on that girl. She's a how can you how can you say that two people did something wrong and only one of them has to leave?
Exactly.
No, yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. And just like my prediction or my or attorney general prediction that I was hoping for was Judge Judy. She would say, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. If it doesn't make sense, it's not true."
Mhm. I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. Until next time,
Sounds
this is
good.
Jim Bob,
Oh, don't forget, I need to get I need a prayer for the week.
a player.
A prayer.
Oh, a prayer for thanks, because we did forget it last time. Um, and anybody out there, I'd like you to join in with you. Dear Lord, please, these are some terrible, terribly confusing times that we're living in. Please help us understand what's going on out there, know what's good from what's evil, and make the right choices that will please you and help us in our journey through this flesh world. Amen.
Amen. Talk to you soon.
Hey, Mud.
Jim
We're
Bob.
about to do a first here on the Quarter Deck podcast. We're going to do our first interview, huh?
That's right.
And tell us a little bit about who we're going to talk to.
Well, here in this studio we have Trina. She's
Yeah, yeah. I
she's
was
our
wondering
pharmacist
who
friend.
that good-looking gal was back there.
That's right. And then on the other line we have Dave and Mary from Camp Love.
There they are. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Howdy. From Texas.
Texas.
Texas. That's right. One of my favorite places that I've only been a few times. But
Well, I'll tell you a unique story about Dave and Mary. We've been friends for several years. I think we met around 2016, 2017, something like that, when they were in the middle of building their pineapple house. And you can go on Discovery Channel, you can go on the internet and just type in pineapple house, Peacocker, Belize, and you can get a virtual tour just from the satellites and the pictures that other people have taken, which they get, regular visitors on a daily basis come by and just take pictures and, just observe it and just wow. It does have a wow factor to it. It's pretty amazing. But I thought we would talk to them a little bit and get some positive feedback as far as, where they've been, how they did it, and how they designed and came up with the concept of not only just building one of the most iconic structures in Belize, but also their personal stuff that they have going on at Camp Love and the Westover. Westover is a different. It's the same farm, same family, but what they do over there is they have a vineyard, and Dave is branched out and done some stuff with mead. Which is a type of wine that he can elaborate.
I've drunk some of his mead.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Thank you, you guys. By the way.
Well,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, I loved it. I was telling Mud, you guys, and I don't know if you've read my second book or not, but you have?
Yes, sir. I've got
Well,
to about three of them, three of the dynasties anyway so far.
Oh, okay. So you're pretty much you're getting through it, but yeah, you guys are two of the only people I know that for sure have read my book. So that's pretty exciting for me.
Well, it's exciting. It's exciting to know somebody that can write. I've always wanted to be an author, and even in my younger days with Mary, I wrote quite a few kind of verses, what I call country western love songs, and it's been fun.
I've had a little experience writing country western love songs myself. We might have to collaborate on a couple.
Well, I just sang them. And then by the time we got through, bitching around in the swimming pool, and I was creating. By the time we got back over here to pen and paper, they were gone.
That's the problem with songs. You got to write them down right when they come.
I agree.
Yeah.
But when you're in the swimming pool or you're in the shower, it's kind of hard.
That's right. It's but it's hard to remember. It's because they are so good when they come, and then you go back and you try to put them on paper, and you go, oh, it's just not quite right. But yeah. So how long have you had your place in Belize?
Bought the property in 2011 on the north side of Peacocker, before they even had electricity over there. And we just kind of began getting the game plan together and the idea together, and started talking with people and getting guidance. And but seems in 2015 we got electricity, and in 2016 we got water, and it was game on. The ball was back in Dave's court, and showed a model. I built a model and showed it to some people in Monolithic in Italy, Texas, just south of Dallas. They build the big domes and convention centers, but they have since branched out in building like smaller domes and hook them together and making homes out of them. But as you could see from my deal, I took that dome and I just kind of squeezed it, kind of making it more islandy looking. And from there, Mary and I went to a workshop, that week-long workshop that we physically got inside of there and we sprayed foam, we tied rebar, and then we did the shotcrete machine and sprayed the concrete on the inside of it. And from there, I just used monolithic. They work international. They're all over the world building these things, and so he helped me to pack a 20-foot container with everything that I would need, from the pump, the sprayer, the windows, gates, tools. Man, they had more tools packed in that thing, and it was 2018 that about June, I want to say, we did the ring foundation. We'd driven 8 piers 18 feet down to the limestone bedrock there. And then we put the ring foundation, a 26-foot diameter ring foundation around that. And we got down there about 17 of 18. And we got the container in. I've got it, paid my duties on it. And I had some help. There were some good guys that my agents kind of helped me trim that budget a little bit, or on my manifest, to where I didn't get hit too hard with the dues. And they had to barge it over there to my side, and we just opened that thing up and got the airform out, inflated it, put an airlock. We had some big squirrel fans, and inflated it and put the airlock in there to where you could go inside and out without the pressure going down.
Oh, I remember that.
Assembled a 40-foot tall scaffolding on a platform that had 4 14-inch tires that were kind of cantilevered at an angle. It had a center pivot on it, so it would rotate around, and one of the wheels had electric motor on it. And that was mostly my job, is to drive it around. And I learned, Adelante and Alto, stop and start. I learned a lot of Spanish on this job. But they worked up and down the scaffolding, and I rotated it around. And I think by Christmas time, we got the shell completed. It was very, a lot of prayers, a lot of PMA. And but that it was once I got that shell done, it was like, all right, now it's game on. And started putting windows in there in the 1st of January. And
January what year, Dave?
That was 19. We started putting the windows in, and started doing 4 the native wood floors. And the website is a Palapa Pineapple, Palapa, and it kind of shows the whole rigmarole. Shows my model, told a little bit of our story, and but it shows details of the wood we used and the different, building round. It was my lead carpenter, Jairo Barrera. Oh, he was a godsend. He was from the get-go. We shared some of the DVDs from him with him that we'd gone to school, we'd gone to the workshop on, and he'd watched them, and he was excited. He was just excited as well. I was more apprehensive, but it got better when you have 2 people. When you have 2 people that are on the same page, and booyah, it just grew. You know what I mean? All I had was a sketch. It didn't have no dimensions on it except 26-foot diameter, about all I had. But we just, and he looked at it, and I'd look at it, and he said, "What do you think, Dave? Can you live with that?" And I said, "Hell yeah, man. That looks great." It never backed up. We just kept on keeping on.
We were very fortunate that we got a work crew that they were just good people, and they were hard workers, and they become very good friends to this day. So we were very fortunate there, and they loved the work that they were doing because they wanted to make sure that it was the
what we wanted.
outstanding house that it is, I guess I'll say.
Well, I told all the contractors this thing's going to be very unique, and
one of a kind.
Oh yeah, it's unique. There ain't another one like it in the world.
No, there's not.
You know, Dave, what most people would find astonishing, I think, is how hard, how difficult, how involved it is getting anything down there, let alone enough to build that whole place, right? I mean, people here, I mean, you ship stuff here, down there, it's a whole different ballgame, right?
Oh man, you just don't go down to Lowe's and get whatever you need or whatever. You got to plan it. You got to get your logistics together because everything has to come across a split. There's a split there that you had to boat it in or barge it in. Logistics.
And then once you get it there, you got to get it to the other side, right?
Well, that's true. That was a big getting that container over there. When we shipped that thing out of Houston, oh, I prayed 2 or 3 times a day and watched the weather and everything. And when it hit customs, we arranged to meet it down here, and then we arranged for a separate barge to bring it over to our side because that's where the main port was on the island, was on the south side. And you talk about, and they brought it over here Sunday. They're not really religious. They work pretty much. Well, I say they ain't, but they work 7 days a week. But they brought it over here, over to the pineapple site, and they had 2 skid steers, a forklift, and a backhoe. And this thing was still on a trailer, and they could pick it up, but then they couldn't move it. It was quite heavy. And it tipped quite a bit, and I was like, oh, shoot, you know what I mean? But my windows, they were pretty much all impact glass, but they wound up getting it off of there, and then we skidded it just enough inside the property to where I could close my fence back off. But yes, that was a logistical thing, and it seemed like I had to get some other stuff. But whenever you had to get a container or something, it was an ordeal.
Right.
To get it to the north side.
Just shipping a small package down there is a crazy thing that you got to go through sometimes. Hey, I got a question for you. Now, I've been down through most of Central America. I have never made it to Key Cocker yet. But tell me, how's your vision of being a well, they call you expatriate, but what's it feel like to be a U.S. patriot and trying to make it down in another country?
Wonderful. Yeah. Loving people. Everybody is like-minded. You don't come to this island to have a bad time. And when Mary and I first started showing up, a couple of practice honeymoons or whatever, that we would cruise into town, and they welcome home, Dave and Mary. And through up to about 15 or 16 or so, we were making 2 to 3 week ventures and staying at a couple of the local places on the south side. Didn't have a whole lot on the north side. Didn't have nothing that was really rentable. It was everybody was off the grid on the north side until the water got there. But it was we see people, and I don't know, tell them, Mary, it's just so much fun.
Well, it is fun. I mean, that's really one of the reasons we like it on Key Cocker are the people. It's not just because it's beautiful and it's paradise. It's the people who make it that way because they're all so friendly, and they're family.
Yeah, and how about the money? I mean, being my experience, what's the cost of stuff compared to when you're in Texas?
Well, a local beer will cost you $5 Belize, and that's $2.50 US money.
Mm.
And I equate it to when we went to the Happy Lobster, and you could get your lobster omelet and a red hot Belizean Mary, a Bloody Mary for $15 BZ.
Right. Now that sounds more like what I'm accustomed to. I never paid $5 for a beer down there. My beer's most expensive I think I ever paid for a beer in Nicaragua. I worked in Nicaragua for about 3 years, and I think $2. Now it's been a while, but yeah, it was to me it was at least a quarter cheaper. I mean, a quarter of the price, 4 times cheaper. You know what I mean? If you spend
Well, yeah.
$100 on something here, it'd be $25 down there.
Hey, but I'll tell you this about Bellican beers. They come in bottles, and the bottle, because it's a key. It's not an island; it's a key. The bottles are thick, so you're not getting 12 ounces of beer. You might get 10.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
They're
might be.
smaller beers.
Well, they got to use them bottles over and over, man. You can't be
Oh, trust
breaking
me.
them bottles.
You know what? Yeah, they be liking them bottles back. That's for sure. But,
Yeah. So you guys would recommend the lifestyle, and everything's been going good for you guys down there.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
What's the government like down there?
It's about as corrupt as everybody else.
Okay.
But they tolerate it more. You know what I mean? It's all acceptable type thing. But the law, you know, we're so laid back on our island that about the only encouraging you get is somebody coming from the mainland that might be chasing a common-in-law wife or something. But it's as long as they get on the kids. They used to be kind of you know, during summertime, some of the school kids would get caught breaking into the expats' places, running around or whatever. And I remember way back 15 or 16 or so that they caught this one group, and they questioned one until he passed. And then they just went to the next one, and he decided he was going, well, but it don't happen near so much. You know, our side, it gets policed pretty good. Everybody has cameras out, and they know it. You know what I mean? We still got pirates around, you know, and
yeah,
right.
If you don't chain that boat up, you just can't leave it there for 2 or 3 months expecting it to be there when you come back.
That's right.
The pirates can see that, and they got boat cutters down there too. So
Right.
That's right.
And they're local. They kind of fade in. That, you know, I lived on Roatan for a while, and that's the way it is there. It's very safe most of the time, but if you leave your stuff, then you got a problem.
it's keeping it out of sight. It's just kind of like here, you could put some bait out there, you know, leave a 4-wheeler out there or a lawnmower out there, and folks drive by and see it out there for too long. They're like, well, they don't need that anymore. I know somebody that does.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're very happy, and I'm kind of slow to kind of promote too much of it because we're such a small island. And,
right. You don't want too many folks going down there.
Well,
I hear
if you
you.
want to just be a tourist or something like that, that's fine, man. Come on down.
Come visit.
Come visit. Spend a bunch of money and keep all of our natives happy down there. But take all your memories back home. You know what I mean?
And then just come visit again.
Come visit again. But then we've showed them kind of, and I told Mary this when I started that project. I said, it ain't going to take long. It's going to take about 5 years or so. And a bunch of these folks are going to come down here and say, well, look, they built that, and that's been built. Look, and, you know, they're just going to go hog wild. And But our north side, it's still kind of quiet.
Yeah.
But it's
Hey,
getting
and
busy.
the potholes are getting a lot better. Did you notice that when you? Yeah, didn't y'all just return? Y'all just came back from there a week or two, couple weeks ago. Yeah, the pothole situation is getting a lot better, I think.
Oh yeah, the potholes are doing really good,
They
man.
are.
Ain't no point putting speed bumps out there because
It used to be pit bulls and potholes. Now it's just semi. I think the potholes gotten a lot better, in my opinion. Of course, I walk everywhere. I don't do the golf cart thing.
So Dave, let me ask you a question. I want to maybe use this for a plug for my book. You guys, what do you think of angels or aliens?
I liked it. Man. I was getting into it. It was kind of like it was a little confusing at first, but then I did go on and drag my Bible out and went through a couple of your verses that you quoted and slowed it down a little bit. And I tell you what, Jim Bob, it sort of opens up your eyes and makes you look at something a little bit different. You know, some people just kind of gloss over things they read, but this here, it made you think. And Mary and I've shared quite a few stuff with her. I don't know if she read all the way through it yet, but it was very insightful, Jim Bob.
Well, I appreciate that. You see what's over my my right shoulder here? It's a copy of Angels or Aliens. I'd encourage everybody to go out and get a copy, but I appreciate that you guys have read it, and Mud told me that you even went to your minister and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?"
Yeah,
something like that.
yes,
What?
I shared your book. I think he even wrote something in there because I asked him to, you know, to say something, and then I haven't shared
The newest one.
The newest one, the dynasty ones, the 4 hidden dynasties. That I'm trying to get through it myself, but he is very insightful, and we've recently kind of changed from the Episcopalian faith to the Anglican for certain
That's
modern
interesting.
reasons. The Episcopal diocese trying to change the way they look at things and the way they govern their people, and I think they tried to, you know, modify a couple of commandments, and we just couldn't go that way. And about half of the people, the parishioners at our church, we found this little chapel outside of town, and it's on our side of the world, and it's all smiles. And the kids, man, they all come up to us and either, you know, give me a hug or just, hey, Mr. Dave, hey, Miss Mary, whatever, and even got one gal, she'll even share her cookies with me. They only get 2 cookies.
I'll be damned.
Nice.
It's been cool. But Reverend Sean Duncan is our pastor, and he was there for a couple of years at our Episcopal church, and then it was at the end of
About a year.
last year. We're coming up on a 1-year reunion or anniversary thing.
Yes.
But when we were down there and we were getting weird texts from people saying how things is changing at the church and how everybody is not wanting to sign this document and such. And I went up to church, and this church, Jim Bob, I think there's been 4 or 5 generations of spellings that go through this church. And it was kind of tough. We've got a stained glass window with our name on it in there. And that was my only feeling, that I was the last of the spellings is there. But this transition has been really, it's been really insightful, and to share your words with some of my other parishioners. And so it emboldens you. You know what I mean? It just kind of gives you your strength, your faith, and then I point out certain points of this book, and it kind of it like I said, it just gives you strength to share more.
We haven't talked to Sherry. But she got them right before we left.
Yeah.
We shared that with Sherry and Chris.
Yeah.
And I know she ordered the books. So
good friends, and they've got their arms around it too, Jim Bob, and in your newsletter too. That was very cool.
I appreciate you guys so much. I can't tell you. I can't wait to meet you in person.
that would
The
be
thing
real.
about it is, with we're seeing it more and more in denominations in this country. This progressivism is coming into Christian churches, and it's just eating them alive. And
Yes.
they're all of a sudden they're all in favor of things that the Bible says absolutely is not permissible. And so it's I can relate to what you're saying. I hear it from a lot of different people. But
society, we still live way out here in the country, and so we're still old school type thing. But the folks in the city, and then I guess when these kids go to school and their parents are very permissive and such like that, and that kind of puts pressure on those parents, and we just don't agree with all of it, man. For sure, things are going to change. I mean, I remember the change between me and my dad, growing hair and trying Fred and staying out past 10 o'clock. I said, dang, Dad, things are changing. But he was
right.
an old Air Force man, and he didn't see it that way.
I hear you. I hear you. What Mud? What else you got? You want to ask Dave something
Well,
insightful? One of them Texas
yeah,
things that
yeah.
I love so much.
As you can tell, Dave and Mary, they are very, very positive humans that they enjoy life. They appreciate everything that God's given to them, that they've worked so hard for, and then appreciate. But one of the things that they got that, and I recently called them last week about. I was gonna enroll in a university here in Grand Junction and to learn how to make wine. But Dave and Mary have they got a vineyard, and they also have a place to I guess I don't know. I don't even know the terms of it because I don't have the education. Yeah. So
But we
anyways,
started.
how's that working out? The wine, the vineyard.
The vineyard,
Yeah.
it's just like any other agriculture adventure. It sucks, and it just depends on the weather. Whether you get weather or not. Look at there. There's
That's
that
West
honey
Over
maid
wine right there.
There's that honey maid.
Oh, you got the elderberry. Oh, man.
I drank the other one.
Oh man.
Listen, that is some of the best that they've made.
But Mary, that was influenced by my Mary, and
Okay.
And she, whenever we were up there at Enoch's, and that's what I'd been working on through my vineyard, because Mary and I, we that was one of our big date night spots out there. They had a tasting room, and then they had some snacks, and then they did a restaurant. But then we'd go to a lot of the wine tastings and follow Altus around. He was on the head shed to the different ones. And I told Mary, I said, nobody's doing any mead. You know what I mean? Everybody's got these fruity tooty wines, or, highfalutin ones and all, really stuff. And I got my boys, leaning on it there, and we donated some honey and donated some fruit. And it really took off when we did the pineapple, and then the pineapple jalapeno mead.
Oh yeah.
Jalapeno mead was
good.
And
then Mary, we did just
delicious.
Straight jalapeno one, and
that was good.
That it was, a little flavor on the front, and just a hint of on the backside of it. Wasn't hot, but it just had flavor on it.
Right.
So Dave, how do the order some of this here?
Well, let me get my secretary to write down your order. But the elderberry, that was a one-time thing. It comes out like in the fall,
But I mean,
And,
do you have a website that people can go and see what you have and order?
No,
no, sir.
no.
And that label, see, we do hot sauce and barbecue sauce. I don't know if I sent you any of that stuff. I thought I
Maybe
sent
I
you
should
more
become
before.
your distributor for the Western United States here.
No, sir. No, sir. You just got to know
Is that
somebody.
gonna happen?
And that's what I decided with my hot sauce business way back when, that I was getting encouraged to do that. And then I said, and I was looking at trying to cut my responsibilities down.
Exactly.
I didn't want to work for anybody else. And that's what one feller told me. He said, well, you're going to start that, you're going to be busier than I'll get out.
Yeah.
And so we make it when we run out, or we make it when somebody orders some, and we give it to them.
And you avoid lawsuits.
Yeah, you can notice there's no label, there's no barcode on there.
That's
And
right.
I just made up those labels. And but since Enox, we did make a big batch. I'd been putting all my labels on all the stuff that we've been experimenting with, is what we called it. But now we put up about 70 gallons of just straight honey mead, and we put Enox's label on it. And but it's got a heap of honey in it. And what happens with the difference between wine and honey is, when you make the wine, you put sugars in there to kind of sweeten it or make it ferment with the yeast. But when the alcohol percentage gets about 12 to 13%, the yeast dies out and it doesn't continue to ferment. But with the honey, it maintains till about, I don't know, we've got it up to 22% before, or that's what this latest batch is. And it's kick ass, man.
Ooh, baby.
But we can get you
–
some of that, and I'm gonna get you some from Enox. I haven't been out there since we've been back, and my mentor, Altus, he helped me with the vineyard when it rained like heck after the first year and drowned a bunch of them. So he came over there and planted like another 1,000 plants. And but he said he's a South African Dutch guy. Like, oh, Dave, always wanted to be a cattleman, because that's where our old Westover was a cattle ranch. Yeah. And so I found him some cows, found him some land to graze, we found him some working pens, and it's really been fun. And
well, that's great. What do you think, Mud? Anything else?
Man, I tell you, if there's ever a success story to be shared for the rest of the world to have inspiration, it's these two individuals right here.
There you go.
Mud.
There you go. It's been fun talking with you guys. I can't wait to hook up in person, hopefully this year. And yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Oh, I said I hope so. I hope we can plan.
Oh, yeah.
Here, there, or in between. You're
somewhere, hopefully down there. But I might jump out to Texas if Mud ever gets back there. You never know, but we'll just have to see. But I'm looking forward to that. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Well, I don't know.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
We didn't know if we needed to set us up a cool backdrop like y'all did or whatever. We're just winging it right now, and I might have combed my hair a little bit better. I don't know, but I hope we come across good for you, Jim Bob and Mud.
Yeah. All
PMA.
Right.
We call it positive mental attitude.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, you guys.